You know, I think it's making him get the ball up. Obviously, he sinks it. He's got a slider and a curveball, but his swing and miss pitch is a split. And we play behind two guys that do that a lot. So it's not like we haven't seen it from that side. So I think you got to make sure that split, you don't chase that split down in the zone.
You mentioned the other day you're an optimist. You're always going to be an optimist. But how do you stay? What makes you stay positive during stretches?
Well, these guys have track records, and they're going to work at it. And I know they're going to. I mean, you look at today, guys are working at it right now. So I believe it's going to change.
With Nuno going today, how does it affect a pitcher, if at all, kind of changing your start date?
Well, I mean, he played catch. He gets an extra day. It doesn't really change it much. I think sometimes it's harder when, if you skip a guy and then he goes on 10 days rest where he hasn't seen hitters for a while. So it shouldn't really change it much.
Kelly back tonight?
He could very well be with us tomorrow. He wouldn't be with us tonight. He threw yesterday.
All the reports that he came through.
Great, yeah. Everything was fine, so we're expecting him tomorrow.
Joe, what was it like being around Popeye all those years?
The best. I learned so much from him. When I talk about him, I feel like he played a lot of different roles in my life. A fatherly figure at times, a grandfatherly figure at times, a friend at times. It's been a difficult week for me, and knowing that I'm not going to see him again, and because he meant so much to me. He was my first manager. He always believed in me, whether it was a player, a coach, or as a manager. There's just so many funny stories, I have from him. I was thinking, people have asked me some of the funnier ones, and Zim was always so direct and to the point. And I remember calling him on a Monday after the season concluded in Florida, telling him that I think I'm going to be fired tomorrow. His words were, "Welcome to the club, pal." Not, "Oh, I don't think so. No, you did this, that." "Welcome to the club, pal," and I'll never forget it. I mean, that's who he was, and it made me laugh. I mean, it really did. So I'm really going to miss him.
Were you catching when Sutcliffe gave up the 3 consecutive home runs in Cincinnati, the fireworks? And he told,
I was not. But that's a funny story, where
I was just wondering if you.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many things that Zim did that just, made the game enjoyable. I remember, being behind home plate and the guy throwing a changeup to John Kruk, and he's yelling, "Throw him another." He screams, "Throw him another one," right? So I throw him another one, right? So then he screams, "Throw him another one." So I throw him another one. He said, when I came in, he says, "I'm just messing with the hitter. You don't necessarily have to do it." I was a rookie. I was going to do what he told me. But, that's who he was. He was a character who had a tremendous passion for the game, had a great eye for the game, and it was just fun to be around.
Joe, I know you talked about believing your guys are going to turn it around and they're working at what point do you start to worry that it won't? Either individually, or not necessarily as a whole team,
right.
With an individual, at what point do you worry?
Well, I think you make evaluations every day. I think that's the fair thing to do. You make them daily, you make them weekly, and you make them monthly. But as I told you, I'm an optimist, and I believe in these guys, and I haven't forgotten how tough the game is and how difficult it is when you walk into that little batter's box and how quickly you have to make a decision to square up a ball or not swing. So I'll continue to believe in them. I will.
Joe, obviously, the offenses are cyclical, things go up and down, but are you at least a little bit surprised at how this offense has not produced?
Yeah, a little bit. I thought we would score more runs. We've had some injuries at times, where we've missed some key parts in the middle of the order, and times where key parts in the middle of the order were struggling, and it made it more difficult to score runs. I don't think for a period of time, which every club has, we've had, 6 or 7 guys hot at the same time. We haven't had that. We're due for that. And I'm looking forward to it.
Joe, you went through the Mariano's farewell tour last year. Now you're doing it again with Jeter. Is it similarly kind of bittersweet?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. because Mo, you never knew when he was going to be in a game. Jeet, you do, and the people have been very thankful of his presence in the lineup and what he's done in the course of his career at every ballpark that we've been at. And he, you know, as I said, you never knew when Mo was going to come in, so it was harder to predict. Like, so the standing ovations that he's gotten around the game have amazed me. I'm not surprised when you really sit down and think about what he's done, but it's been enjoyable.
Is it hard to imagine the Yankees and even baseball without Derek Jeter?
Yeah, but we've kind of had to go through that the last few years. You know, it started with Jorge. You know, I happened to be with Jorge when he first came up, and you know, that first spring training he didn't show up when I was man. It was kind of strange not to see him in the first hitters group, and then not to see Mo or Andy this year was really kind of strange, and it'll be strange next year.
Joe, you've kept Derek in that 2 spot. What about his year this year? Do you see that leads you to believe he's still going to be productive there?
Well, he's always been a guy that has responded during the course of time, and people have been ready to say that, you know, you should move him. And in 1 year he ended up with 200 plus hits and that sort of thing. So, you know, you can look at Derek in the number 2 slot, but we have a lot of guys that have struggled. You know, maybe because of his name, he's going to be the focus a little bit, sometimes more than other guys. But we've had a lot of guys struggle.